be. That's my concern. My whole entire family is heavy, and I was heavy, but I was heavy for a purpose, so I was able to pull myself out of that. It was still hard to pull myself out of it, but I'm a person that has always felt very good about myself. I've always had self-confidence. I always had a lot of love in my life. So I don't know, when someone's like, man, you did it, you were 330. And I'm like, yeah, but it was still quite a bit different than somebody who was abused as a child, or someone that has, you've talked about, I think there being kind of chaos inside the body, right? There being, there's almost always some sort of extra harm that was done from a psychological standpoint. I never had to overcome that. So I don't pretend to understand that extra, I wouldn't want that burden. I wouldn't want that extra burden on me, because I probably would really struggle to overcome it. And people that have overcome that, kudos to them, because that seems like a really brutal burden to try to overcome, because it's not just about changing yourself. It's about changing all this crap that happened to you on top of trying to change yourself. And we're the byproduct of, everything you ever thought of yourself, everything that you ever thought somebody else thought of you. You're the byproduct of things that you've eaten. You're the byproduct of things that you said. You're the byproduct of things that you heard. I mean, it just goes on and on. And so to unwind all of that and to have somebody kind of yelling at you with a message of, man, you got to change every bit. You got to change just these small incremental changes every day. And I know that you probably understand it. You probably get it. You probably try it. But maybe you're not going back and really taking care of the root cause, the root problem of just, hurt people. And you might have some hurt or some pain in your life that continues to manifest in you just being, just really struggling with making correct decisions for yourself all the time.
Dude, I'm so glad you went down this road, because I deal with this constantly. I had a woman on my show named Trisha Nelson. She wrote this book called Heal Your Hunger. And she really brought it to my attention. There is a staggering correlation between women that are obese that were sexually abused as children. So it becomes this thing of, they don't realize it, but I've come across so many female clients that just as they're starting to do well on a new protocol, they self-sabotage constantly, and they don't know why. It's this deep subconscious thing. And Trisha pointed out to me through her work, she was like, well, think about it. They know that in modern society, obese women are not as sought after sexually. So they have this thing in their brain from childhood trauma that the fat suit that they're wearing is literally a defense mechanism against men. Like if they've been abused in the past, they're like, well, if I stay fat, my internal trauma, the cells in my body literally know I'll get less attention from men if I look this way. And that's when you really dig into the deep, deep seated stuff, where I get these women coming to me and they're like 45 years old and overweight. And they're like, I read David Goggins' book and it's amazing, and I'm ready to train. And I'm like, you do not need David Goggins' advice right now. You don't need to run 100 miles and murder yourself and just suck it up and fucking do it every fucking day. And I'm like, you need love. You need self-love right now. That's really where we got to get to. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. My own mother suffers from a lot of trauma from when she was a child, and it makes she knows everything that we know, in terms of nutrition. She's an expert,
Yep.
She does the right stuff for a while. She'll lose some weight, and then she tends to gain it back, and she's gone back and forth many times, but it's very difficult. It's a difficult thing to solve. It's not just in the end, yes, it is like, hey, you just need to eat differently. But I think people just need to have maybe a little empathy towards the fact of that it's just a little extra difficult for them. Just like if we were to take 100 people and we all made a painting of a tree, how many people's painting would look worth a shit,
Yeah.
And yes, all 100 people have the ability to paint a tree, but there can be some people that it's easier for them to learn how to paint that tree. It's just my tree is going to probably always look like shit. I'm not very,
Me too.
I don't have much in the way of art going on, but we just all start out in some different spots in this world. And when somebody has that those pre-existing conditions above and beyond, forget the genetic component, which is a whole nother component to the whole entire riddle as well. Having a dad that tells you that you're fat and you are a little bit heavy, it is a problem for you and it makes you feel bad about it. Having alcoholic parents or abuse in your household. I always try to, whenever anybody asks me about, the success of some of the products that I've had in the fitness industry, or like, I always start out the story by saying, hey, look, I started out super fortunate. I started out, I would say, privileged. I have two parents that love each other, and they gave me and my brothers plenty of love. And you still run into problems with that. My oldest brother decided to go a different route. He ended up abusing drugs. He ended up dying from drug abuse at a young age. My brother Chris, kind of almost the same thing. And we were lucky enough to be able to kind of save him, rescue him from that problem. So even with love in your life, shit is hard. Shit's difficult. And imagine the negative impact that it has when you don't have any of that. Some people tend to go the opposite route. When they have a lot of abuse in their life, they learn, okay, that shit's bad. That shit's wrong. I want to do the opposite of what that is. And that's how they learn. And then some people just, unfortunately, they kind of spit that back out, and it's either onto other people or in many cases, it's just onto them. They don't want to unleash it on anybody else. So it's just onto themselves.